In 2010, in Malaga, Spain, Amaya, a 6-year-old girl, goes to watch the local parade with her parents, Alvaro, a successful illustrator, and Ana, a doctor at the local fertility clinic. The city square is crowded with people gathered to see the parade. It gets dark soon and begins to rain. Amaya, wearing a cute yellow raincoat, sits on her dad's shoulders until she spots a balloon seller and asks her dad for one. Ana smiles and tells her husband to go ahead and get one for their daughter. Alvaro heads over and puts Amaya down for just a second to bargain. Meanwhile, Amaya spots a toy on the ground and tries to pick it up, getting lost in the crowd. By the time Alvaro finishes purchasing the balloon, his little daughter has vanished. He and Ana panic and frantically search the square, but Amaya is nowhere to be found. All they discover is her rabbit mask lying on the ground. Miran is an intern at Diario Sur, a local newspaper, and a journalism student. The next morning, she watches the news about Amaya on TV. CCTV footage shows Amaya being led away by a person in a hooded raincoat. Intrigued, Miran starts researching everything she can about the case on her way to work. When she arrives, Paco, the chief editor, is briefing the reporters that the missing girl will be the paper's main focus in the coming days, and he expects daily articles on the case. At the office, Miran is close with Eduardo, a senior editor who looks after her like a father. Miran asks Paco if she can help cover the Amaya case, despite being just an intern. Eduardo supports her, but Paco dismisses the idea. Still deeply interested, Miran tags along with Eduardo when he goes to the police station. During the ride, Miran reads through the information Eduardo received from the police. The details of the case stir memories of her own past trauma. Eduardo warns her to think carefully before getting involved, because this kind of case could destroy her. It seems that something similar once happened to Miran. At a police press conference, authorities release limited information and nothing beyond what's already been reported in the news. In the middle of it, Miran tells Eduardo she's stepping out to grab a coffee. She meets Bullen, the lead detective on the case, who also happened to handle Miran's own case time ago. This time, Miran tells her she's only here to investigate Amaya's disappearance. However, Bullen refuses to share any further information. Ana and Alvaro give a speech to the press, asking the public for help in finding their daughter. Ana, devastated and barely holding it together, pleads with the kidnapper to keep Amaya safe and bring her home. Standing beside them are their family and close friends. Miran watches from a distance and learns from Eduardo about the family's inner circle. Both Ana and Alvaro come from influential families. Ana's father, Paco Núñez, owns a hotel chain and is friends with urban planning councilman Felipe Ramirez. After the speech, David Luque, a close family friend, hands out missing posters. Later, Miran finds Ana smoking in a quiet corner and gives her phone number, in case she remembers anything. Meanwhile, detectives Belen and Chaparro interview a woman named Joaquina, who lives in the building where Amaya's yellow raincoat was found. Joaquina claims she saw two men at the entrance with a little girl. One of them entered the building and left the raincoat inside. However, Joaquina isn't in her best mental state and her statement can't be fully trusted. Miran helps distribute flyers. David's wife, Rosa, strikes up a friendly conversation with her. At the same time, David receives a call from Alvaro, warning him about the journalist. When David sees Miran taking notes while speaking with Rosa, he angrily grabs her notebook, shoves her, and threatens to contact her editor. After Joaquina, the detectives also head to question Juancho, the balloon seller. They don't get any useful information, but due to a prior assault charge, he becomes one of the suspects. Later, Miran tells Eduardo she believes the kidnapper must be someone Amaya knows, someone she trusted enough to walk away with without any resistance. Eduardo points out that if the person looked respectable and the crowd was distracted by the parade, it could have been anyone. David calls and threatens to sue the newspaper. Paco is furious at Miran, but Eduardo steps in to defend her and advises her to be more careful. He also reminds her to call her mother back, who has been worried about her. That night, while walking home, Miran becomes paranoid, feeling as though someone is following her. She is still grappling with trauma from a personal tragedy 2 years ago, which has made her anxious and distrustful. She panics when she thinks a car is following her, but it turns out to be Eduardo. A vigil is held for Amaya. The police begin looking into the backgrounds of those close to the family and uncover that David's disturbing past. He was previously accused of SA a young girl. The story jumps ahead 6 years, to 2016. Miran is now a full-time journalist at Diario Sur. One day, she receives a mysterious package containing a VHS tape. Ana and Alvaro are no longer together. Today would have been Amaya's 12th birthday, and Ana still gets a cake for her missing daughter. When the police inform them about the tape, both parents are called to the station. Miran delivers the tape, and the parents watch it in shock. The video shows Amaya alive and well, playing with a dollhouse. Back in 2010, Miran is still a journalism student. Eduardo isn't just her mentor and guardian, he's also her professor. That day, he gives a lecture on how to investigate a case. Using Amaya's disappearance as a real-time example, David is brought in for questioning. Belen asks him about a past accusation, but he insists it was false. When asked about his whereabouts during the time Amaya was kidnapped, he says he was at the parade with his family but left alone for 15 minutes to buy an umbrella. That time frame would have been enough to abduct Amaya, and his alibi is weak. Alvaro finds out David is a suspect and storms into the station, trying to confront him, but the police hold him back. David owns a moving company with several trucks, an ideal place to hide a child. All of this makes him the prime suspect. Eduardo is shaken by the news, but Miran had suspected David from the start. She always believed the kidnapper was someone Amaya knew. The detectives think that if David did kidnap Amaya, he must have had help. This matches Joaquina's statement, so they decide to show her David's photo for confirmation. The police search David's house and trucks but find nothing suspicious. Belen also gets word from the officers tailing Juancho, the balloon seller. There's something off about him. Later, Miran attends a support group for SA survivors. She struggles to speak, showing how deeply affected she still is. Next, Eduardo and Miran visit Pedro Lopez, a former detective who handled David's case years ago. He gives them the old file but behaves inappropriately toward Miran. She tries to focus on the case and ignore him, but when he makes a disgusting remark about the victim and says Miran reminds him of her, it triggers her trauma. Miran flips his food tray in anger. When he moves to hit her, she stands her ground, but Eduardo steps in and threatens to report him. They leave the place. Meanwhile, the detectives continue watching Juancho and notice suspicious behavior. However, it turns out he's only involved in smuggling exotic animals, not the kidnapping. At the same time, Ana and Alvaro begin arguing. Ana blames him for letting Amaya out of his sight, and tensions boil over. Miran and Eduardo keep investigating David. They learn that his sexual assault charge was from when he was 18 and the victim was Rosa, his current wife, who was only 13 at the time. This makes Miran question her original theory, and she decides they need to talk to Rosa. The detectives also discover that David has more cash flow than someone running just a moving company should. They find out he rents an apartment under Rosa's name. Suspecting something, they rush there to investigate. Miran, meanwhile, goes to David's family home and finds Samuel, David's son. They're alone. Rosa tells the police she has nothing to hide and shows them the apartment. She explains that they used to rent it out, but it wasn't profitable, so they decided to sell. David had been going there occasionally to fix it up, but inside, in one of the rooms, they find a camera pointing directly at a mattress. They check the footage and the truth is horrifying. David and Samuel had been luring young girls to the apartment, drugging them, and SA them on camera. The footage was part of a distribution network for profit. Rosa is devastated to learn the truth about her husband and son. Meanwhile, Samuel tells Miran that David would never hurt Amaya, that she was like family to them. He shows her a photo album filled with pictures of Amaya, saying the family truly loved her, but when Rosa calls to confront him about what the police found, Samuel panics. Terrified of the consequences, he jumps off the balcony, despite Miran's efforts to stop him. In 2016, Alvaro tries to reconnect with Ana after seeing the tape of Amaya, hoping they can be together again. But Ana makes it clear that's not going to happen. Miran meanwhile returns home after work. Her wall is still covered in notes, photos, and clues related to the case of Amaya. Back in 2010, the police rush to David's house after Samuel jumps off the balcony. Outside, Belen meets Miran. Miran asks if Rosa's phone call to Samuel is what caused him to jump. Belen can't share the details, but Miran pleads with her not to abandon Amaya's case the way she was abandoned years ago. Belen is clearly affected by her words. Eduardo picks Miran up. He tells her the police have uncovered a massive child pornography network. Miran draws the logo she briefly saw on Samuel's laptop and shows it to Eduardo, but he doesn't recognize it. She wants to investigate further, but Eduardo warns her to be careful. It seems to be connected to something dark and dangerous. David's alibi for the day of the parade checks out. So he is no longer a suspect in Amaya's disappearance. However, he will still face trial for child pornography charges. Eduardo drops Miran off at home, and she unexpectedly kisses him on the lips. Eduardo is confused and unsure how to react. Meanwhile, Miran is overwhelmed by loneliness and brokenness, and in that moment, she simply loses control. In 2016, the police consult an IT expert about the video. He says it's impossible to trace anything through VHS, but confirms that the kidnapper used a Sonya recorder, an old model typically sold by vintage dealers. At the newsroom, Paco was upset that Miran didn't make a copy of the tape. Miran tells him it would have been illegal, and besides, she's already watched it. Her priority isn't just the story, she wants to find and save Amaya. At the police station, Belen wonders why the kidnapper sent the tape now, 6 years later, and specifically on Amaya's birthday. They tries to track down the man who delivered the package. Meanwhile, Miran visits the shop across from her office under the pretense of writing a piece about their business, hoping to get access to their security footage. The owner quickly sees through her excuse, but Miran manages to make a deal and gets the video. In it, she sees the man who dropped off the package, but the footage isn't clear enough to identify him. She tries to check for other cameras in the direction he walked. While doing this, she runs into Belen, who's doing the exact same thing. At first, the encounter is unpleasant. But since Belen's team is short-staffed, they make a deal. They'll share any findings with each other and keep one another informed about the case. Elsewhere, Alvaro is hesitant to reopen the case, fearing the media attention and emotional toll. But Ana sees things differently. She had long believed Amaya was dead, but now that she knows her daughter is alive, she's willing to do anything to bring her back. When Alvaro accuses Miran of exploiting their story for publicity, Ana reminds him that he's doing the same by turning their tragedy into animation books. To give the case as much public attention as possible, Belen allows Miran to publish the tape alongside her article. Belen's superiors reprimand her, but she stands her ground. Meanwhile, Miran's article creates a major stir, and her colleagues celebrate her success at a pub. Even Paco is kind to her for once. Later, when only she and Eduardo remain, Eduardo steps outside to take a call. While he's gone, some men at the bar give Miran inappropriate looks, making her uncomfortable, and she decides to leave. That night, as she sleeps, Miran has a nightmare. Her traumatic memories come flooding back. She thinks about the time in 2010 when she attended a support group for survivors of SA. She had shared that someone had spiked her drink at a bar, and the rest of the night remained a blur. Sometimes she feels grateful that she can't remember everything. But other times, she wishes the memories were clearer so she could fully confront them and find closure. Belen's request for more staff on the case is approved, and the investigation picks up speed. A new lead comes from a VHS enthusiast who tells the police about a man named James Foster, who had posted on a forum looking for that specific VHS model used by the kidnapper. He also has 2 prior charges for SA. Belen gives Miran an exclusive on Foster's arrest. Now working as a tattoo artist, Foster is brought in for questioning. He remains calm and even sounds somewhat remorseful about his past. The police search his caravan and seize his laptop, but he's already scrubbed the place with bleach. He also has a solid alibi for the night of the parade. He claims he was with a co-worker all night, and she confirms it. With no evidence found on the laptop, the police are forced to release him. As Foster waits at the bus stop, Miran approaches and questions him. He tells her he's been following her work and believes she's close to uncovering the truth. He also suggests that she might find answers about her own assault. Intrigued, Miran follows Foster onto the bus to ask what he knows about her assault. Foster tells her about a dark website where David uploaded disturbing videos. It's called Slide. This explains the logo Miran saw on Samuel's computer, which resembled a slide. Foster claims he no longer uses the site but admits he once saw the video of her assault there. He offers Miran a deal. He'll give her a list of users who uploaded videos to the site. One of them might be her attacker. But he wants 10,000 euros in return. He warns there's no guarantee, but it's a chance. Back home, Miran breaks down. She's overwhelmed with grief and rage, knowing that a video of her brutal assault is out there, watched by strangers. She calls Eduardo to tell him about Slide and Luque's possible connection. The moment she mentions the website, he tells her to stay away. He knows it's dangerous and that powerful people are involved. Miran listens, but her mind is already made up. She withdraws all the money from her account and goes to Foster's camper site, but it's still not enough. Foster agrees to hand over the list, but only if Miran makes up the shortfall in a horrifying way. She must let him take photos of her for his sickening collection. Miran is disgusted, but she gets the list. 3 years later, in 2019, Foster's caravan burns down in the middle of the night. Around the same time, Miran receives a message on her phone, a set of instructions to retrieve a mysterious package containing footage of Amaya. Miran follows the directions to a trash bin. Inside, she finds another tape of Amaya, still alive, playing in the same room. On the box is one word, clearly written, adios. Ana and Alvaro rush to the police station and are horrified by what they see. Ana lashes out at the police, vowing never to stop until her daughter is found. Belen is shaken, but Chaparro encourages her, reminding her of her strength and refusing to let her give in to the pressure. Belen and Miran analyze the new video carefully. Miran notices subtle differences in the VCR machine compared to the earlier tape. It has a different head. The device is from the 1990s, which narrows down where it could have been serviced. Belen picks up on something else: new miniature toys in the dollhouse. She believes they're rare and might be traceable. Ana gives an emotional speech to the media, pleading for help. Alvaro offers a €100,000 reward for any information leading to Amaya. Meanwhile, Belen and Chaparro visit a toy shop that specializes in handcrafted miniatures. The elderly owner isn't sure if he made the toys. His daughter now runs the shop. It's another dead end. Then they get word of the caravan fire. Inside the burned vehicle, they find a safe that somehow survived the flames. Meanwhile, Miran visits all the local repair shops that work on vintage VHS players. At the last store, the shopkeeper confirms that someone recently brought in the exact model used in the tape, an old Sanyo from 1985. But when he finds out she's a journalist, he throws her out. Desperate, Miran sneaks back in and steals the customer book. Inside, she finds a name and address, Iris Molina. A flashback to 2016 shows Miran visiting David in prison after receiving the list from Foster. She tries to get answers about the people on the list, but David refuses to cooperate. In 2019, Miran is certain that Iris is the kidnapper and heads to her house. But before she can leave, Belen shows up and tells her they found two bodies in the burned caravan, Foster and David. She also reveals they found a portrait photo of Miran in the safe and demands to know if she was involved. Meanwhile, what really happened to Amaya is finally revealed. Miran was right, Iris is the kidnapper. We return to the day of the parade, where it all began. Earlier that day, Iris, a patient of Ana, is devastated when Ana tells her she can never have children, even after spending all their savings on treatments. Her husband, Santiago, tries to comfort her and insists they'll keep trying. Later, at the parade, they notice the Martin family. At one moment, Iris sees little Amaya crying and alone. She gently takes the child's hand and promises to return her to her parents. Santiago initially searches for Ana and Alvaro, but when Iris looks into Amaya's eyes, something changes. She decides to take the child. Santiago protests, but Iris is desperate. He tries to stop her, but Iris is losing her grip. She takes off Amaya's raincoat and gives it to Santiago, who throws it into a nearby building to mislead the search. Iris then covers Amaya with different clothes and walks past the police unnoticed, leaving the square and returning to their isolated home in rural Malaga. Santiago still believes they should return the girl, but Iris is determined. She clings to the fantasy of becoming a mother even if it means stealing someone else's child. Eventually, Santiago gives in. Iris assumes the role of a mother, but Amaya doesn't see her that way. At first, Amaya resists. She cries constantly, calling for her real mother. One day, Raul, a bank manager, visits Santiago about overdue mortgage payments. As Iris holds Amaya in an attempt to quiet her, Raul hears something, but brushes it off. Santiago sets up a room for Amaya, but she remains withdrawn. When a TV program shows her real mother, she breaks down again. Iris can't connect with her, and Santiago warns her not to push too hard. Still, they keep Amaya isolated from the world, caged in. Iris convinces herself it's the lesser evil. Over time, Amaya adapts and accepts her new identity, Julia. Iris is conflicted. She wants to keep Amaya close, but knows the way they're treating her is inhumane, like an animal in captivity. Santiago knows what they're doing is wrong but continues to comply to keep Iris happy. Iris dreams of escaping to France, where no one knows them, so they wouldn't have to keep Amaya hidden. But they can't afford it. When Iris watches Miran's interview with Ana, she's moved and decides to send the first recording of Amaya. Santiago disapproves, but gives in again. He's the one who delivers the tape. As Amaya grows older, she begins to express curiosity about the outside world. Iris immediately shuts her down, warning her of the dangers and bad men beyond their home. One day Amaya plays outside with their dog Chispa. When Iris sees Raul's car arriving, she panics and rushes Amaya inside. But Raul has already seen her. Santiago tries to act normal and invites Raul in. As Raul prepares to leave, Iris, terrified he'll report them, shoots him. They burn his body to destroy the evidence, but Santiago is shaken to the core. The next day, the police show up to question them about Raul's disappearance. Santiago manages to mislead them, but inside, the guilt consumes him. By 2019, they receive a final eviction notice from the bank. Iris spirals into hysteria. Concerned, Amaya asks Santiago if Iris is mentally ill. He brushes it off and tells her to take care of her mother. Burdened and exhausted, Santiago goes to the police station in Malaga, ready to confess. But before he can, he's struck by a speeding car and dies. Iris is shattered, but Amaya, now older, steps up to comfort her. Thanks to Santiago's life insurance, they are able to keep the house. Iris plans to sell it and use the money to take Amaya with her to France. Before leaving, Iris sends one final video as a farewell to Amaya's parents. We then return to the moment when Miran is being questioned by Bullen and Chaparro about the burned-down caravan where James Foster died. Both Foster and Luque were connected to the child exploitation site Slide. And Miran had ties to both. The police suspect she may have orchestrated their deaths. Miran is suspected of orchestrating the deaths of Foster and Luque by photographing them together to make it look like they were cooperating with police, then anonymously publishing the images online, triggering retaliation from the powerful people behind Slide. Eduardo, worried, offers to accompany her to visit Iris Molina, but Miran insists on going alone. Meanwhile, during a live TV interview, Ana and Alvaro learn of Foster and Luque's deaths. The media begins suggesting Miran might be involved in Amaya's disappearance. Miran ignores calls and sleeps through the night. The next morning, Eduardo picks her up and retrieves her car. Inside, he finds a camera and incriminating photos, realizing she exposed the men, but he keeps it to himself. Miran visits Iris under the pretense of doing a rural survey. Iris, nervous, invites her in. Miran notices a child's broken bicycle and quietly surveys the home, seeing signs that confirm her suspicions. Amaya is locked in a room with the dog, Chispa, who starts whining. Miran distracts Iris and searches the house while Iris secretly holds a knife, though she doesn't use it. Miran leaves without confronting her, but after checking the latest Amaya video, she recognizes the same hairband Iris was wearing, proving Amaya is there. Iris realizes the mistake and prepares to flee. Miran tries to call Belen but has no signal, so she hides and waits. When Iris and Amaya leave in a van, Miran follows. Iris panics upon seeing Miran tailing them and tells Amaya not to believe what people will say about her. In a final act of desperation, she drives the van off the road. The crash leaves Iris unconscious. Amaya, terrified, fires a gun at Miran but misses. Miran calmly disarms her, comforts her, and tells her the truth. They're taken to the hospital alive. Ana and Alvaro are reunited with their daughter. But Belen warns it will take time for Amaya to adjust after 9 years of isolation. Eduardo visits Miran, whose shoulder was grazed by the bullet. Iris dies from the crash. Chaparro finds Miran's camera but not the memory card. Eduardo had removed it to protect her. Miran walks free. At home, she finally takes down her investigation wall and calls her mother to reconnect. Ana and Alvaro meet Amaya again, but she only responds to the name Julia. 2 years later, Miran reads from her successful new book, reflecting on overcoming her trauma and starting over. Eduardo and her mother are there to support her, but just as life seems peaceful, Miran receives a mysterious package. Inside is a photo of a woman named Laura Valdivia, tied up, with a message, "Want to play?" The past, it seems, isn't done with her yet.
Thank you for watching. Subscribe and like for more videos like this.